from Columbia College here in Columbia, Missouri for this gateway clash between the home side AFC Columbia and the traveling club Atletico St. Louis from St. Louis, Missouri. This is a rivalry matchup between the two clubs. Club Atletico St. Louis have won the past two. AFC Columbia looking for some revenge here tonight.
On behalf of the board of
Just
AFC
should
Columbia,
be around kickoff time in about 4 minutes. Players walking out now, as you see from our brand new second camera angle. Logan, what do you got on this matchup?
I liked what
AFC Columbia
AFC Columbia was doing in their last home match against St. Louis Development Academy. They had 2 goals there. It was 2-0 win for them, and their goals came off of counterattacks where they succeeded. I mean, you defend well, and then you get the ball, you play it into space, and you score. That's the method to success for this Columbia team. And here we are about to stand for the national anthem, so we will be back in 1 moment.
Face the flag of the United States located in the northeast corner of the stadium as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Trying to get a close up.
I confirm we are doing tennis balls.
Another beautiful rendition of our nation's
AFC
colors here. Brought to you by Columbia College. We are just about set for kickoff between this rivalry matchup.
The officials for tonight's match.
AFC Columbia will be wearing the dark blue striped kits, and
the fourth official
Club Atletico St. Louis will be wearing the other blue kits with the white stripes through them. They will be going from right to left, and Columbia will be going from left to right. It did rain here earlier today, so the ground is a little bit wet. We saw that a little bit in the girls' game. The ball was slipping a little bit further on the pitch than it normally would. But the ground has dried up a little bit, and we are set to play here on this beautiful Friday night in Columbia. Julian, what do you think the method to success here is for Columbia taking on the #1 team in the Gateway Conference?
Speed down the sides. We saw that whenever they played against St. Louis Developmental Academy. They completely dominated down the sides and ended up getting a couple goals because of the pressure that the offense put. If they can put the same amount of pressure that they put on the other St. Louis club, they can do the same thing here to Club Atletico. I'm going to go ahead and give you the lineup for the home side AFC Columbia. Starting in goal, number 0, Toby Hughes. In defense, Mohamed Lamidi, Travis Smith, Akemi Miller, and Reese Gilmore. The midfield for Coach Chris Miller, Ilhan Dervizovic, Paul Merpergo, Miguel Gonzalez, and Luis Anchieta. And the 2 forwards for the Blues is number 25, Nadim Saralia, and the captain for Coach Chris Miller, Jacob Moore.
For Club Atletico St. Louis in goal, we have Matthias Pereira de Silva, and right back Connor Lovell, left back Zach Stanton, center back Daniel Dixon, center back Kyle Nurnberger, center mid Brady Lombardo, right mid Isaac Pearson, forward Jacob Korolzek, center mid Zach Renz, who is also the captain for the Club Atletico side, center defensive mid Giuseppe Giroux, and left mid Anthony Copatelli. We are off here in Colombia as St. Louis sends a long ball to the right side.
St. Louis in possession in the light blue, as my broadcast partner Logan Parsons mentioned earlier. This one goes out of bounds for a AFC throw-in. They'll take it down that left sideline. Still inbounds in the air. Jacob Moore, the closest blue to it, but it travels all the way back to Stanton, who plays it over to Dixon. Over to Lavelle on the right, trying to find the overlapping run of Pearson. He does. Nice defensive work there in the midfield by Dervizovic, who gets it all the way back to Travis Smith, who clears it away just before finding the feet of Toby Hughes. But the striker Karaljak was on it in attack. Out of bounds for a St. Louis throw. They will take it short in to Karaljak. This one's over to Lombardo. Now in the middle, and recovered by AFC. On the right side is deflected. Travis Smith having to recover. Tried to clear it, but it was ended up getting met by Reese Gilmore. Gilmore kicks it up to Jacob Moore, the captain. Now in the midfield, St. Louis controls it now after a couple deflections. They will reset all the way back to Dixon. Dixon over to Stanton on the left. Stanton with plenty of space in front of him. He'll elect to reset over back to Dixon. Dixon with a long ball trying to find the run of Anthony Copatelli, but it goes out of bounds past the byline for the first goal kick of the match. Toby Hughes will do the honor.
Goal kick Columbia.
And what we're seeing early is control by this St. Louis side, kind of working through the middle to the outskirts. So Columbia is going to have to be aware of any long balls coming into the outskirts and then watch central, because St. Louis has already tried to hit their attackers centrally on 2 different occasions thus far.
Soralia dropping all the way back into the fence from his striker role. Jacob Moore in possession. He gets stripped away, and St. Louis will recover. This has been a pretty fierce rivalry throughout the years. The last 2 matches have gone the way for St. Louis. Columbia looking for some revenge here in the home game of this year's matchup. No pressure between Soralia and Moore. Finally, a little bit of pressure. Good cut out there by Miguel Gonzalez. Gonzalez was trying to spark a counterattack as he presses.
And a little bit different look here for Columbia as Jacob Moore is playing at that forward striker position. So he's usually playing in that midfield, attacking midfield, but today in that striker role.
The last 2 away ones. St. Louis in possession with their left back, Zach Stanton. Stanton kicks it in to the middle for Brady Lombardo. Back to Stanton. Stanton looking for the run, but Travis Smith is there. Ball actually gets past him, but Toby Hughes, the ever so reliable Toby Hughes, will get to it. Keep it in play for the Blues. He'll play it quickly over to Travis Smith. Travis Smith looking for a long ball. Has the run of Morpurgo. Morpurgo flicking it back into Jacob Moore. Big collision there in the middle. No call from the referee. Definitely was the right call. Nice recovery there from Dervizovic to retain possession. And in possession, Akimi Miller, the ever so reliable. He was incredible in that game against St. Louis Developmental Academy just a week ago.
And he's really the centerpiece of this back line. Him alongside Travis Smith, who is the bigger body, but Akimi Miller just giving out all the call-outs for this defense, keeping that line straight as you see right now. Travis Miller, that big body that you can rely on corners and set pieces to kind of get it away. As St. Louis going fast here down the right line.
This one's going to be just too far for the overlapping Connor Lavelle, who was overlapping on that right side, going to go out of bounds for another goal kick.
By Ramtech.
But yeah, back to what I was saying, Miller is more of the speedy center back, and Smith, the bigger body that you can rely on those set pieces. So you'll see Miller in that sweeping role most of the time, like we did see in that last game against St. Louis Development Academy.
Seems like Chris Miller has committed to this 4-1-4-1 formation that we saw against St. Louis Developmental Academy, with Soralia dropping all the way back to that defensive midfielder spot. He's been pretty successful there throughout the year. This one's going to go through for St. Louis. Over on the right side, it's Lavelle. Lavelle trying to flick it into a wide open Copatelli. Probably was in an offside position, but Toby Hughes is there to claim it. Flicks it over to Miller on the left. Miller with absolutely no pressure on him. He can pretty much just walk it up the field if he wanted to. Over to Smith on the right.
Yeah, St. Louis is playing this very compact midfield. They have about 5 players spread out pretty wide because there's 5 players in.
Long ball trying to find Dervizovic. Dervizovic with some pretty good pressure, forcing a clearance from Pereira da Silva. It was actually pretty good clearance. It ended up working out as a nice pass. Jacob Moore with a nice tackle to retain possession. Soralia on the ball now. He flicks it over to Reese Gilmore on the right. Gilmore with space to run. He'll pass it back to Anchieta. Anchieta back to Smith. Smith to Miller. Miller trying to flick it to Soralia in the midfield. Ball through, gets past Miller, might be on one with the keeper, and what a tackle by Akimi Miller. Absolutely clearing it away and clearing out the attacker with him.
And I mentioned it just before that happened, about 2 minutes before. Miller will be that sweeping option that can get back to any ball with ease. He is one of the fastest players on this roster, and he showed it there, tracking down on that St. Louis attack right there, sweeping that one out of bounds.
The most impressive part about Akimi Miller on that possession was he slipped, and the ball went past him, got all the way back, recovered with some excellent recovery speed, ended up making the tackle to save Columbia from a one-on-one. Here's the corner.
Everyone but Jacob Moore inside of the box for Columbia.
It's a good corner at the back post. Header won by St. Louis, but over the bar for a goal kick.
Goal kick Columbia, sponsored by Ramtech.
Looked like that was Daniel Dixon getting all the way up on that one, but could not keep the ball down. Smith on it. Gilmore on the right with space to run. Looking for options. He has Soralia in front of him. Elects to go back to Smith. Over to Miller. Miller playing the ball to Lamidi. First time we've called out his name. He's been pretty successful for the Blues so far this season. Nice run there by Paul Morpurgo, who was really good against St. Louis Developmental Academy. He was definitely the highlight, especially in that first half before any goals were scored. Gilmore on the right. Has a wide open Morpurgo. That was Gonzalez in the middle. Gonzalez will retain possession after a couple deflections and reset with Travis Smith. Back to Anchieta on the right. Finds Dervizovic wide open in the middle, trying to find the run from Gilmore, but a little bit of a miscommunication between the two. As Gilmore found himself in a pretty unusual position for a right back. He was sort of playing that striker role, but that's exactly what Chris Miller likes to emphasize. He doesn't care where you play as long as someone plugs in your position and you take someone else's position.
And that's a lot of soccer right there. If you see somebody going out of their position, let's just say right back over to right midfield, you would like somebody to track back and fill that role so that there's no opening gaps on the back line, and that's exactly what this team does very well. As you can see already, Columbia possessing the ball very well as that one goes over the head of everyone on St. Louis and out for a goal kick. But what I was saying, they're possessing the ball very well and getting those combining passes in the midfield that you didn't see in the last game versus Development Academy, even though they did win that game.
Yeah, Developmental Academy, St. Louis Developmental Academy plays a very different game than Club Atletico. They love to play with a lot of urgency and a lot of pressure. Club Atletico is sort of laying off, letting Columbia run at them instead of St. Louis running at Columbia. Ball played back to Da Silva. Over to Stanton. Stanton trying to find the run from Jacob Karalsek, but it gets knocked away and into that right corner. Stays in play in that right corner. Actually, now it goes out of bounds for an AFC Columbia throw-in. 10 minutes into this one, we've had a pretty close game. St. Louis, I would say, with the better opportunities, but Columbia not backing down. Ball played out to the left for Lamidi. Lamidi with space, finds Morpurgo. Morpurgo, 2 on him. He'll just play it back to Lamidi, playing it safe. Lamidi looking for the cross into the box. Played by Zach Renz, the captain. This one is now in the midfield. Luis Conquieta, the first blue to it, but it actually gets cut away for St. Louis as they retain. Over on the right is Renz. Renz still on the ball, and that surely is going to be a foul on Morpurgo, I believe, or that could be Anchieta. It is, actually.
And that was actually a very smart play by Morpurgo, stopping that transition, because it looked like St. Louis actually had numbers going forward. So getting that foul and resetting possession now.
They definitely did. St. Louis definitely did have numbers going up in the middle. This one's going to stay in play. Columbia players shouted for out of bounds. Good ball played into the back. Will it stay in play? It actually gets called back for offsides. Connor Lavelle was the first St. Louis player to it, but he was in an offside position. It'll be a free kick for AFC Columbia.
Yeah, and Mohamed Lamidi was the reason that was offside there. He did a great job of stepping up and keeping that line straight so he would be offside. A very heads-up play by Lamidi, the left back, for Columbia.
Smith over to Gilmore on the right after the free kick was taken quickly. Gilmore looking for options, finds the open Anchieta. Back over to Smith. Smith switches play, trying to find a running Morpurgo or Lamidi. Might have been for Lamidi, but Morpurgo was the first one. Ball played in. What a nice little deflection there by Travis Smith, sticking his foot out behind him to cut that out. Gilmore on it, as AFC has not really been able to play any passes in the midfield, sort of just controlling possession in their own defensive third. This one played into Anchieta. Anchieta over to Saralia. And they will reset with Akimi Miller.
And I like this spot for Saralia in that lower midfield, that playing that defensive midfield position. He's really just there to get those passes in from the defense if they need one.
Ball played in to the back for Miguel Gonzalez, but it gets cut away by Zach Stanton, who was all over Gonzalez. Now St. Louis can come running. They have numbers if they elect to use them correctly, but a nice tackle by Lamidi, still in play after it bounced off of Lavelle. Lamidi on it, another deflection. Akimi Miller, the closest blue to it, as he gets pressured by Karalsik. Karalsik still on the ball in the corner, as Lamidi finally able to get to it and knock it off of a St. Louis player for a Columbia throw. Lamidi on it, pressured, and St. Louis wins the ball in the corner. Pretty dangerous position. Dervizovic gets past him, completely megs him.
Great turn.
Saralia on it, back to Lamidi. Lamidi playing with a lot of confidence in that corner. St. Louis wins it back into the corner, but this one's going to go out of bounds for another goal kick.
And that's where those rondos before the game come into play. That tight scenario. I was watching the rondos before the game, and Dervizovic was one of the clear players that played very well in that drill. And in those tight situations, Dervizovic able to find his way out with a cool, calm, and collected turn. Couple good moves there by Columbia, and that's what you train for, those tight scenarios.
Smith plays it to Gilmore off of the quick goal kick. Back to Smith with plenty of space right in front of him. He elects to switch it over to Akimi Miller. Saralia dropping all the way back behind both Smith and Miller. Miller plays it to Morpurgo. Plays it back to Miller with options behind him. He kicks it over to Saralia. Saralia over to Smith. St. Louis bringing a little bit of pressure now. Ball played, tried to play into Jacob Moore. Might have taken a deflection there. but nonetheless goes all the way back to Pereira da Silva as St. Louis will reset.
And Jacob Karalzak, the striker for St. Louis, really isn't pressuring anything outside of the center backs. Like if you're noticing Gaza Miller on that outside, if he has the ball, there's genuinely no pressure. I mean, as you can see there was a little bit of pressure, but like right now when he has the ball, there is really no pressure or motive to get upfield because there's just no pressure. And it seems like St. Louis's motive here is to just jam-pack that midfield as the ball almost gets intercepted in the back. But a good job by Smith to get that one away.
Anchieta ended up getting to that one after a good clearance by Toby Hughes. This one in the middle for St. Louis. Here comes Karalzak. Not too many numbers with him as he tries to play the overlapping run, but no one was there. Lamidi, first one to it. And he will play a long ball into Jacob Moore. Moore trying to flick it for Morpurgo, but Morpurgo was just a little bit too far away from Moore to have any connection with him. Good play out of the back here by Nurnberger as he joins the attack. Kicks it to Lombardo, excuse me. Back to Lombardo to Karalzak. Now in the middle, it's Isaac Pearson. Pearson still on it with a lot of dark blue shirts next to him. Over to Lavelle on the right. Lavelle trying to find the overlapping run from Pearson, but it gets all the way to Toby Hughes as he will reset the play for AFC Columbia. Miller on the ball.
And this is what I mean, just the minimal pressure from this St. Louis side as they just tend to sit back and make you make the mistakes, or excuse me, let you make the mistakes in that midfield. They have
Anchieta, long ball through, trying to find the run of Morpurgo. Morpurgo was the closest one to it, but Pereira da Silva comes out before anyone to claim it. That was a very nice ball in from Anchieta, maybe a little bit too far to the right. This ball's won. Jacob Moore on it, passes it over to Anchieta. Anchieta on the right. Anchieta with options behind him. That's Reese Gilmore. He plays it to him. Gilmore looking for a cross. Ball in is cut out by Nurnberger. Ball played out to the left side now. A collision, and Travis Smith comes away with it. Ball played into the middle as Morpurgo was running onto it, but a nice clear away by Daniel Dixon.
And you see there, Travis Smith steps up and another player steps back. So another thing, like you were saying earlier, players taking other players' positions when needed.
Renz over to Pearson. Pearson plays it back. Garreau on it.
Just now 18 minutes into the first half.
Kicks it back to Nurnberger. Or sorry, that's Zach Stanton, excuse me. Nurnberger playing a little bit more up. Ball played, trying to find the overlapping run from Lavelle, but cut out by Columbia as their ball trying to find Morpurgo as goes out of bounds for another St. Louis throw. We're seeing a lot of long balls, not a lot of small passes. Both teams going for the Hail Mary here as we are approaching the 20-minute mark, just under 19 minutes played here live from Columbia College.
And it's really because that they're just putting so many numbers in the midfield. St. Louis, that is putting so much numbers into that midfield that you have to play the long ball, because if you try to combine those little passes, you're just going to get stuck around three different defenders. So nice style of defense early on from St. Louis.
Nurnberger trying to find a pass in the middle, cut away. Jacob Moore was the closest blue to it after he gets stripped away by Renz. Renz finding the overlapping run from Lavelle, who finds Pearson in the corner. Stays in play. Miller ended up getting to it. He plays it into the middle for Saralia. Saralia gets past one, kicks it to the middle for Anchieta. Actually gets through him all the way to Miguel Gonzalez. Gonzalez with space on the right to run. Ball played into the middle for Jacob Moore. Moore, can he get to it? He cannot. Pereira da Silva coming off of his line just at the right moment to cut away the attack. But the Blues are looking dangerous. St. Louis in possession again. Over to Dixon. Dixon back into the middle for Garreau. Garreau finding the run on the left side. That's Nurnberger, who sort of switched with Stanton. I believe they did switch. Nurnberger now playing left back. Stanton shifting over to the center.
And it looks like Columbia is actually starting to pick up the style of play of St. Louis. They're actually letting St. Louis make some mistakes now too, like St. Louis is trying to get them to do, as Jacob Moore receives that one in the midfield and loses it. But they're not really pressuring the player with the ball, but instead jam-packing that midfield so other players can't.
One-on-one with a keeper, gets past Toby Hughes, and he's barely offside. He looked on to me, but call from the assistant official, offside.
And it seemed like the entire back line knew it was offside except for everybody in the stands, because they seemed very relaxed about it compared to
Gonzalez onto it, but gets claimed again by Da Silva. Da Silva complaining to the assistant referee that these Columbia attackers are being a little bit too physical whenever the ball gets into the box, but they're just trying to win the ball. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If it's 50-50, if no one's in possession, you can be a little bit physical trying to get that ball.
Yeah, both these sides using that long ball to their advantage, but both back lines playing exceptional, keeping their line straight. You can see Gaza Miller patrolling that central area.
Ball for Nurnberger goes out of bounds. Bit of a misplayed pass. Throw in taken quickly to Moore. Moore gets sandwiched and will be a foul called. Might have gotten stepped on.
Yeah, Brady Lombardo and Zach Stanton just sandwiched Jacob Moore in the middle. He almost got flipped around there.
Free kick for AFC Columbia. Jacob Moore and Reese Gilmore stepping over it.
And I'm surprised they're not letting Travis Smith, take this. He has a really good long ball, but
They might be trying to play a long ball. Short free kick now over onto the right side for Gilmore. Gilmore played by two. Back to Moore. Moore cross into the box. It's a deep one to the back post and met by Pereira da Silva. Da Silva has been looking really, really confident in the box, really controlling that box. As he plays it quickly, it's over with Stanton, who plays it to Nurnberger. Nurnberger with options, but a foul is called.
yeah, Jacob Moore just got a little too kick happy there and kicked the shins of Nurnberger. That'll be a foul. And I believe the referee is telling them to retake it because it wasn't stopped yet, but play is resumed now.
Stanton into the middle for Renz. Renz over now on the left. And Copatelli gets stepped on. Definitely
Flat tire
foul
there.
called. Yep. It'll be a free kick in a pretty similar position to where Jacob Moore took his last free kick.
Just on the other side of the field.
Renz on it. St. Louis sending a lot of players at that back post. We're probably going to see a long free kick from Renz. Renz, it is a long free kick to go on back post, but it gets over the head of everyone. Goes out of bounds for another goal kick.
Goal kick.
Yeah, and Ren's the captain there. He's had 2 free kicks thus far that have been placed perfectly on that back post, so the likes of Travis Hunter and Gilmore on that back line will have to watch out for that on any future free kicks.
Gilmore over to Smith. Smith with plenty of space plays it to Akimi Miller, getting pressured by Pearson. But Pearson backs off in the end. Miller trying to find a long ball to Morpurgo. This one deflected. Morpurgo with a nice flick past, but a nice defensive play there by Dixon to recover for St. Louis after his defensive teammate got completely dusted. St. Louis in possession after a couple deflections. Over on the left for Stanton. Stanton with Nurnberger on his left. He elects to place it back to Da Silva. Over to Dixon. Dixon into the middle for Koralczyk. Koralczyk with options. Gets passed to Columbia midfielders. Over to the left for Nurnberger. Nurnberger with options behind him. Passes it to Stanton. Stanton switches fields to Dixon. Dixon looking for a long run here. Over to Lavelle. Lavelle finds the run from Renz. Renz trying to flick it forward, but it actually will go out of bounds. Actually, for a corner, must have been deflected off the feet of Lamidi.
Corner kick, St. Louis.
Yeah, I believe it just
Sponsored by
hit the shin of
Huffman.
Lamidi and deflected out of bounds. Both of these teams trying to find their way through the midfield, but can't find anything. Instead, having to elect to the long ball. That's affecting them both in different ways. Obviously, the wet ground, the wet grass, making that ball a little bit more slippery and travel a little bit further. But here's the corner kick from St. Louis. They have 6 in the box, 1 at the top.
Corner kick is very long at the back post. Ball flicked on back into the middle and flicked on again, and it's in. A goal off the corner
Goal
for Club
Atletico.
Atletico St. Louis. We'll see who scored it in the end, but it hit the head of about 3 different Atletico defenders. Believe it was ended up getting scored.
I think it was Isaac Pearson.
Believe I don't know. From what the players are from who the players are celebrating, I believe it was Brady Lombardo.
There was multiple different deflections off headers there. Hit the back post as we see Appia running in to that left
Coming
wing.
on for AFC
Couple
Colombia,
substitutions
number
for
13,
Colombia.
Sam McCrary.
Sam
He will replace number 2, Mohamed Lamidi.
Samuel
Also coming
Appia.
on is 27, Sam Appia. He will replace 15, Morpurgo.
But in a blink of an eye there, the ball went from the back post to central, then to the right post, and into the goal. So
Good ball play to Appia. Appia with pressure on him gets past one. Ball played back to Dervizovic. And you're right, Logan. That I was gonna say before the corner was taken. That first corner that Atletico took looked very dangerous. They ended up winning the header, but the header was driven high. Gilmore on the ball.
Could we have a figure who got the goal?
Back to Moore.
Okay.
I believe it was Lombardo. Ball switched over to Lamidi. Back to Miller. Miller with plenty of space. Long ball over to Appia. Appia with numbers. Played back to Dervizovic and all the way back to Lamidi. Back to Moore, and he gets taken out from
Wow.
behind.
that
And
looked
it'll be
like
a
a
foul.
hard tackle on Jacob Moore.
Goal in the 27th
It looked like
minute
Isaac
for St.
Pearson.
Louis for number 9, Isaac Pearson.
Isaac Pearson was the one
yeah.
to get that goal. I believe I said that earlier, but there was some confusion.
Ball in the middle for McCrary. McCrary back to Smith. Smith in over to McCrary. Switches it to Lamidi. AFC slowly pushing forward. You see they are now playing in St. Louis territory. There's not a single AFC player in their own half. This ball played trying to find a run from Anchieta, but it goes all the way to De Silva as he'll claim it.
And Nadim Saralia has also moved up to the striker position. So Jacob Moore has retreated back to that center defensive mid area. And we're actually, I believe it'll actually be Sam McCrary that's in the center defensive mid position. And Jacob Moore will be in that attacking mid role with
Ball
Saralia up
played
top.
forward into the run for Copatelli. Copatelli, ball into the middle, but no St. Louis players near it. The closest one was Karalzik, but he was about 10 yards away. Lamidi plays it forward, trying to find Saralia. Gets cut out by Dixon. Stanton on the ball now.
And this is-
Stanton with plenty of time.
This is just another moment where you don't see too much pressure on the ball. It seems like a professional style of game here with very clumpy midfield.
De Silva over to the right side for Pearson. Pearson on the ball. Finds Renz, the captain. Renz makes more slip. Into the middle for Lombardo. Lombardo trying to find the overlapping run from Renz, but cut away by Miller. Moore trying to find the overlapping run from Gonzalez, but gets cut out by Nurnberger. Very nice play by Nurnberger.
That was almost brilliant.
Nurnberger on the ball. Played over to Dixon. Over to Pearson. Pearson trying to find the overlapping run from Lavelle, but it gets cut out by Anchieta on the left. Long ball from Hughes trying to find Appia. Finds Pearson from St. Louis. Into the middle for Renz. Renz back to Garreau. St. Louis on the right side with numbers in the box, looking for a cross. Plays it back to Dixon. Nice tackle there by Saralia. And can the Blues attack here? Appia streaking down the left. They find Saralia. Saralia with 2 on him. Gets past 1. Plays it over to Gilmore. Wide open on the right. Gilmore with numbers. Plays it back to Smith. Smith in to Dervizovic. Back to Gilmore. Gilmore looking for the run of Gonzalez. Finds Gonzalez. Over in that right corner. Back to Dervizovic. AFC Columbia in a pretty dangerous position if they can find a run. Dervizovic over to Gilmore. Gilmore back to Smith.
And St. Louis really isn't having to expend that much energy because they're moving as a group.
Dervizovic looking for the run, trying to find Appia at the back of the box. Gets tripped up, and they're going to call the foul on Appia as he ran into the back of Connor Lavelle, I believe.
Yeah, Appia is claiming that he didn't use that much force on that push in the back there.
Soft foul.
It looked like he just fell over in the back, but regardless, it will be a free kick.
Couple of subs for AFC Columbia. Looks like Miguel Gonzalez.
This is us, right?
And Sorali. Oh, no, sorry.
Dervizovic will come off for Zwane.
To be,
Coming on
I believe
for
that was
Columbia,
on
number 19, Lindo Swain. He will replace 11,
it was Dervizovic.
It
was
also
Dervizovic.
coming on is number 6, G. Lobo. He will replace 16.
Jerome Lobo. We have not seen him so far at home. Coming in for the first time at home this season, playing right mid. St. Louis in possession of the ball. Lindo Swain also into the game for the Blues. Miller will clear it away. Pretty good long ball in for Karolzak. But a nice job by Miller to get to it first.
And it doesn't look like Lobo is wearing shin guards. But
it might just be like those small ones. I've seen a lot of those small ones get advertised. It might just be those. Ball played into the middle and a foul on Nurnberger by the newly entering the game Lobo. I think it's getting a little bit chippy between Lobo and the captain Renz. Or sorry, that's actually Copatelli, should I say. Renz will be the one to take this free kick in a pretty dangerous position. This could work out as a corner. And we saw the goal just about 10 minutes ago on the corner. Club Atletico St. Louis, really dangerous on set pieces.
Yeah, Renz has that exceptional ability to place it exactly where he wants.
They also have a lot of height and a lot of physicality. If they're able to find a striker in at that back post, anything can happen here. Renz on the free kick. Taken to the front post, headed on back. What a clearance by Jacob Moore. Jacob Moore, goal line clearance to keep the game at 1-0.
And Travis Smith is going to have to act as big as he is in that box, because if you're the tallest one there, you have to get your head on that one. Went right over his head, and good thing Jacob Moore was there to clear. Exceptional clear by Jacob Moore there to save Columbia.
Ball went out of bounds for a Atletico throw-in. They'll take it long. In the box, bouncing, finding the head of multiple light blue shirts, but finally cleared away by Gaza Miller. Over to Lindo Swain. Swain plays it back to Lamidi. Lamidi trying to find more in the middle, gets cut away. And a nice play by McCrary. Can the Blues counter here? McCrary with numbers on his right. McCrary getting chased by Pearson. McCrary still on the ball, finding the run of Lobo. Lobo in the corner. Gets past one, cross into the box, gets deflected away. And St. Louis will retain possession. He gets tripped up, and that's a phantom foul. He was not even touched.
Yeah, I didn't believe he was touched there as well, and Apia agrees as he has his hands up in the air in disbelief. But
Apia was about 3-4 yards away from Lavelle, and Lavelle just tripped on himself, and they called the foul.
If you're Columbia, that counterattack is exactly what you're looking for, especially since St. Louis has been sitting back and letting you come at them for most of the game. They've been sitting back in that defensive stance in that midfield. So when they're all out of sorts and not what they're supposed to be on defense, that's when you can attack. And Columbia did it just then.
35 minutes into this one, Club Atletico St. Louis up 1-0 thanks to a goal from Isaac Pearson after a ball got deflected in the box a couple times on a corner. This one's going to go out of bounds. Last touched by Moore for a Atletico throw-in. Taken quickly into Koralczyk, over to Pearson. Pearson trying to find the 1-2 with Koralczyk, met by Apia. Jacob Moore will control it for the Blues as he'll switch play over to Gilmore. Gilmore with space to run. Has Swain with him. He pulls it back to Lobo. Lobo trying to find the run from Moore in the middle. Gets cut away by the captain, Renz. In the middle. Good pressure by Moore. Renz will play it quickly over to Dixon. Dixon back to Renz. Over to Pearson. Pearson to Lavelle. Back to Renz. There's a very nice attack over into the middle, and the ball just got past two Atletico attackers, Koralczyk and Copatelli, both in the area, but the pass from Renz was just a bit too far.
Yeah, that one, if it was a foot closer to either of those attacking Atletico St. Louis players, that could have been a goal, or at least a shot on goal. So a good thing that that one was right in front for Columbia.
Dixon plays it over to Guerreau. Guerreau back to Nurnberger. Nurnberger back to Stanton. Stanton plays it into the middle. They will reset with Dixon. Dixon looking for the long ball. He finds it to Guerreau. Guerreau in that left corner. Plays it back to Koralczyk. Koralczyk with numbers. Finds a good ball through. Back to Guerreau. Guerreau across. Actually, going to work as a switch as it goes past everyone, and it actually will trickle out of bounds for an AFC Columbia throw-in.
Yeah, he was trying to find the original goal scorer, Isaac Pearson, over there on that far right side of the field, but it just went right over his head. He couldn't get another header score.
This one goes out of bounds again for another Como throw-in.
And Jacob Moore in particular has done a great job of switching the field as he does now. Switching the field makes St. Louis change their position on defense and allows some gaps to open up. So if Columbia wants to work their way through this stout St. Louis defense, they're going to have to keep switching the field like Jacob Moore is doing right now.
St. Louis with a chance to counter. Koralczyk going for goal. It's a good shot. What a goal from Jacob Koralczyk from midfield. Chips the keeper, Toby Hughes, and it's 2-0 St. Louis.
Very unfortunate there from Toby Hughes. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, you do not expect anyone to pull up from around 40 yards out for the shot, but the impossible just happened, and that one went top bins as Toby Hughes jumped for it but could not reach it.
What a finish by Jacob Koralczyk. Gets the ball 40 yards out and sends it and scores. Wow. We've seen some crazy goals here at Marvin Owens Stadium, Logan. Last year with that Johnson goal, or last game with that Johnson goal, and now with Koralczyk pulling up from 40 yards out.
I mean, this is just ridiculous what's been happening, and it's all been at the near side goal. I mean, we had a triple header combination to get a goal for that first goal today. And now a goal from 40 yards out as Zwane tries for himself from 40 yards out as he tries to go low bottom right corner. Can't find that one in. But wow, Julian, I mean, you just did not expect that.
I am at a loss for words. Lobo wins the ball back for Columbia in that left corner. Columbia definitely playing way more aggressive here. That looked like a foul, but no call from the head official in the middle with St. Louis on the ball. Miller ends up winning it. Ball still in the air, finally comes down at the feet of a St. Louis player. Over into the middle for Zwane. Zwane trying to get past a couple defenders, gets cut away, and they will reset with Smith. Smith over to Zwane, but not the best touch as it trickles into the corner. It's actually going to go out of bounds for a Columbia throw-in just around that corner flag.
And it's not like Club Atletico St. Louis has had more possession. It's more of just making the most of their chances in the box. Both times that they've kind of kicked it into the box where there's been players, they've scored. So,
well,
the other one, with the exception of that 40-yard shot, but
this ball is going to trickle out of bounds for a goal kick, last off the head of, I believe that was Parker Murphy, who just checked into the game.
Ultimately, what I was trying to say was that the disparity in possession isn't huge. It's pretty even, I would say. A little bit also, Club Atletico does have a little bit more possession, but it's not a two-score deficit margin.
Yeah, I would definitely say Atletico is playing slightly better, but I mean, if you're Columbia, you're going into this locker room and you look at the score 2-0, you're going to feel like we're not playing bad enough to be down 2-0. We're playing way better than this, and you should have some confidence. But, of course, you want to get a goal before this first half ends if you are Coach Miller and these Columbia Blues. Because you go into the locker room, you're going to be a little bit demoralized going down 2-0. But if it's only a one-goal game, especially with how well that you've been playing, you should be confident. Even when you're down 2-0. You're not even playing that bad against a pretty good St. Louis side. Over on the left for Lobo. Lobo with the run from Appia and Zwane trying to find the run of Parker Murphy, but it gets all the way back to Pereira da Silva, who will claim and will reset for Atleti. On the left for Stanton. Stanton finding Nurnberger. Or, sorry, actually, it's not Nurnberger. That was Copatelli in the corner. I believe Nurnberger got subbed off for 22 Oliver Doyle. Renz finds the overlapping run from Lavelle. Lavelle with numbers. He goes straight at the defender. Lavelle in the box now. Ball played into the box, but it is cut away by Anchieta. Over to Zwane. Zwane to Lamidi. Lamidi over to Lobo with plenty of space to run. Finds Murphy. Murphy looking for that 1-2 with Lobo. Tries to find Lobo. It does. It gets through. Ball played into the box for Appia. The shot. What a save by Pereira da Silva, keeping the score at 2-0.
And that was a great placement shot by Appia. I don't know how da Silva got to that, but he ultimately did. A great combining pass there from Lobo on that left side and a great cross in for Appia. Unfortunate for Columbia that one did not go in as Travis Smith kicks that one out to Gilmore. But another good chance for Columbia.
Gilmore on the right finds Appia wide open in the box. Appia, the cross across, hits the crossbar. Over to Lobo, stays in play. Lobo with options. Lobo looking to take on the defender one-on-one. He does. And what a tackle over there by Connor Lavelle to force the corner. Taking the ball and the man with him. That ball actually ended up going out of J. Marvin Hohen Stadium.
And Samuel Appia has had 2 chances on goal in the last 30 seconds. One hitting the post and one with an immaculate save.
This has been a crazy
game. By Pereira da Silva. Yeah, lots of craziness going on in this one. And if you're Chris Miller, you're obviously not happy about the score, but the way that your team is playing,
you can't be mad about how
Columbia
is playing. You cannot be mad about how Columbia is playing. Obviously, there are a couple errors, especially on that goal from Koralczyk. There's no way he should be that wide open. And on the corner, you got to have someone clear it away. Here's the corner. Looks like it's going to be Appia to take it, I believe.
Yeah, I think that is going to be Appia.
Can't really get a number on him. It is going to be Appia.
Oh, no, that's actually going to be Gaza Miller.
Yes, Gaza Miller to the back post, into the middle. Shouts for a handball, but it gets collected by Pereira da Silva. He will take it long over on the left side for Rodriana Solo. Excuse me if I botched that. Over on the left for Doyle. Doyle into the middle. Nurnberger on the ball. Sorry, that's Renz. Renz over to Lavelle. Lavelle with options in the middle. The cross across all the way across the plane of goal, and it will go out of bounds for another goal kick.
Columbia.
And Columbia's back line really hasn't played bad whatsoever. It's just been that one very long shot where Toby Hughes was
1 minute.
out of his box.
There will be a
And then, okay, yeah, so there will be 1 minute of extra time. So
1 minute stoppage.
not too much extra time for Columbia to work here.
Smith into Lint. Back with Lint. See, looks like Zwade now playing the right back position. Miller on it as he'll play it back to Hughes. Just about 10 seconds to play in this first half. Columbia going to need to go quick if they have any chance. This one's going to trickle out of bounds for a athletic throw. And that will do it for a first half. And what a first half we had. An action-packed first half. And St. Louis will be going into their locker room up 2-0 thanks to a couple goals. One from Isaac Pearson, and then a 40-yard bomb from Jacob Karalzak. Logan, what are your takeaways from this first half?
St. Louis came out the gate letting Columbia do what they want from the back. They weren't really pressuring, but they were letting them make the mistakes. And in the end, that really helped them get in transition and get to scoring. Obviously, Columbia, if you're Columbia, you have to do better defending set pieces because that's where the work was done for St. Louis. Multiple set pieces kicked in by Zach Renz. The placement by him to the back post onto the head of Isaac Pearson scored that first goal. You can't let that happen when you have a big man like Travis Smith in the box. 15 minutes. We will be back here alongside my broadcast partner, Julian Munoz.
988 can help. Maybe you just need someone to talk to.
If you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Eris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Eris name. Eris's Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
If you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Aris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Aris name. Aris's Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
If you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Aris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Aris name. Aris's Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
If you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Aris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Aris name. Aris's Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
So if Columbia wants to work their way through this stout
If you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, Call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Aris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Aris name. Aris' Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
Welcome back, everyone, live from the campus of Columbia College in Columbia, Missouri, for some Gateway Conference clash between Club Atletico St. Louis and the home side AFC Columbia. It is halftime here as we are officially under the lights at J. Marvin Owens Stadium. Just about 6 minutes left in this half. And Logan, may I say, we had an absolutely masterclass from both teams. Action-packed first half. If you missed it, you missed a hell of a first half. We had a 45-yard banger from Jacob Koralczyk, who realistically got the ball and said things that I cannot repeat on mic and shot it and scored a 45-yard banger to make it 2-0. And also Club Atletico St. Louis scored on a corner after a couple of deflections. That was to open the scoring in the 23rd minute, followed by that screamer in the 39th minute. Logan, what are your thoughts on that first half, and how can both teams up it here in the second half?
Well, for one, Columbia is going to have to watch out for any set piece that Zach Rins is kicking, because boy, oh boy, was he accurate on every single kick that he had into that box. I mean, he could just place it wherever he wants, especially on the corner kicks. I mean, you saw that corner kick that Isaac Pearson, that was the first goal of the game. That really set the tone for St. Louis, but off 3 deflection headers onto him, and then he headed that one into the goal in a great spot. So I think St. Louis, if they can continue to get these set pieces going in their direction, they can really blow this lead open. But if you're Columbia, you have to limit the set pieces, but also you have to be more aggressive in the midfield. And that's what they're going to be doing in the second half. They're switching to a 3-5-2 in the second half. So that's a little bit of a different direction formation-wise for Columbia. So Chris Miller opting to put some more bodies in that midfield to try and cut out some of that ball play that St. Louis had. Julian, how do you think that 3-5-2 is going to help Columbia out?
The 3-5-2 is a very offensively dominated position to play. Very offensive type of formation to play, should I say. It's going to allow for the wingbacks and the wingers. You're sort of going to have 2 wingers and 2 wingbacks. Your wingbacks are turning into wingers, and your wingers are turning into midfielders, which is going to give you pretty much you're getting 6 attackers on the field at once. So it's going to give you a lot of long balls, a lot of play, especially on the wings, which is what Columbia needs. They've been successful on the wings, especially whenever they brought in Appia and
Zwain.
And Zwain. Whenever they brought in Zwain and Appia and Lobo too. All of those 3 players that I just mentioned, whenever they brought them in, they've been very successful on the wing. We saw that shot that Appia had that De Silva made a ridiculous save on, may I say. It would have been an easy goal, top right corner chipped, but De Silva, with his outstretched right hand, was able to parry it just wide. I mean, we've had a perfect first half. You literally could not ask anything especially from a broadcaster standpoint. It's been a lovely first half of football to call, but we're just going to have to hope that the second half brings more.
Yeah, and you talked about Appia. Appia, in that little stretch of a minute, was able to get a shot off at top corner. I don't know how Pereira de Silva got his hand on it, but he did. That saved a goal. And then that cross in that hit the crossbar, that was another. We're going to wrap things up. We'll be back in approximately 2 minutes for the start of this second half.
you or someone you know is struggling, 988 is here to help. 988 provides free and confidential support 24/7. Contact 988 anywhere in Missouri. If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, call, text, or chat 988. There is hope. You are not alone. If you need support, call, text, or chat 988.
My father, Aris Pardalis, grew up in Greece. When he arrived here 50 years ago, he brought with him a taste of his childhood, a delicacy he would introduce to Missouri that brought joy to the taste buds of America. Pizza. Pizza so perfect, it could only have the Aris name. Aris's Pizza. We've been building communities around delicious food since 1961 and making friends for life.
Welcome back live from J. Marvin Owens Stadium here on the campus of Columbia College, live from Columbia, Missouri, for some action-packed Gateway Conference clash between AFC Columbia and Club Athletic St. Louis. St. Louis up 2-0 thanks to a couple goals, one in the 23rd minute by Isaac Pearson coming off a corner, and the highlight of the day so far, in the 39th minute, Jacob Karalczyk pulled up from about 45 yards out, just a slight 45-yard shot for the second goal of the half. Columbia moving from right to left in the navy, and St. Louis moving from left to right in the more lighter blues. Columbia you look at the scoreboard, it's 2-0. Columbia played excellent in that first half. Could not break the ice, could really not break Pereira de Silva. Pereira de Silva had a wonderful first half, especially most significantly whenever he parried away the shot from Samuel Appia. Would have been going top net 100%, but he had a really nice save to keep the score at 2-0. Columbia will be coming out in a more aggressive 3-5-2 formation, looking to get past this stacked midfield from Atletico St. Louis and get a couple goals here in the second half. We saw Columbia scored 2 goals in the second half on Tuesday whenever they faced St. Louis Developmental Academy to take home a 2-0 win. Let's see if they can get 2 to salvage at least a point here against Club Atletico St. Louis. Over on the left with more Pergo. Back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez turning around, trying to find the winner from Pergo again. This one's going to get knocked out of bounds for a Columbia throw.
And you said it, moving to that 3-5-2, that aggressive 3-5-2, expunges a lot of energy because players on the wings have to play on the attack and also defend, as that one's going to go out for a corner, won by Appia. But you have to, in the 3-5-2, the wing backs have to play defense but also be in on the attack. So effectively, you have 6 attackers. Here's Jacob
with
Moore.
The cross, quarter taken quickly in the box. No, Saralia with the shot gets blocked. Appia on it, over to Smith. Smith with the shot gets blocked again. Cross into the box, back post, open shot for Saralia. He might have been offside. He was onside, but Saralia knocks it over the crossbar, and it'll be a goal kick.
And
already want to start to the second half.
And that action-packed first half has just led and bled into the second half. Not even a minute in, and we've had 2 goal-scoring opportunities for Columbia. This 3-5-2 already doing its thing.
Dixon trying to find the run from Pearson. Or, sorry, that's not Pearson. That is Rondriana Solo.
We didn't see much of him in that first half, but
Pearson on it. He'll flick it to Lombardo. Lombardo into the middle for Renz. You were mentioning him during the halftime show. Renz was definitely the spark in that midfield. An errant pass, more on it now. Can AFC capitalize on the error? Over to the right. Back for Moore. Moore guarded by Renz. Over to Miller. Miller on the left. A good switch of play. with plenty of space to run. Has a couple options in the middle. Elects to try to flick it over to Appia, but it gets cut away by Nurnberger. Nice defense by Gonzalez. Gonzalez to get a tip on it back into the feet of Nurnberger after a couple of passes. Now into the middle. Renz on it, the captain for St. Louis. Running in circles around Jacob Moore. Renz with a very nice ball over on the left side. But he's offside. That's Copatelli just past the last line of the fence for the offside call. See if Columbia takes it quickly.
And you could thank Anchieta for that one because he drew him offside, running up and offside trapping him, should I say, on that right back position. Here's Gaza Miller sending that one up the field. It's not really good pass, but ends up at the feet of Gonzalez.
Back to Miller. Miller will look for some options. Playing it slow. Gotta go quick, though. You're down by 2 goals. Smith over on the right for Anchieta. Back to Smith. Over to Miller. Miller with plenty of space to run. He gives it to Gonzalez, who can run. Gonzalez over on the outside for Morpurgo. Morpurgo with options, and that will go out of bounds for a corner. Second corner of the half
Morpurgo
for
to take
AFC
it.
Columbia. Morpurgo will be the one to take it. We'll see if they go short again for Jacob Moore. But I don't think Moore... Yeah, Moore's at the top of the box. This is going to be a cross in. Cross at the front post.
Ooh.
Gets deflected by
Appia,
but goes out of bounds for a goal kick.
Yeah, Appia was trying to do what we actually saw in that rain game earlier, kind of getting a touch on his back foot and kind of tipped that one in near side, but just too many bodies in the way, and that one's going to go out for a goal kick.
Goal kick taken quickly over to Nurnberger on the right. Nurnberger on the shallow side gets won by Miller on that errant pass back to Hughes. Hughes with options. Likes to go right for Anchieta. Back to Smith. Getting some pressure from Pearson. Smith finding the run of Saralia. Saralia ends up winning it.
Surprised that wasn't a foul. It looked like a push in the back against Saralia.
Very physical play. Slide tackle. Very, very physical slide tackle. No, or advantage called. Ball played into Pearson. Pearson might be through, but a nice play by Anchieta to clear it away. Nice flick on by Miller. Completely dusted his man. But the pass was errant, and St. Louis recovers.
Wow, Miller is just so cool, calm, and collected every time he gets the ball. I've been meaning to say that sometime this game, but it seems like every time it ends up at the feet of Gaza Miller, he is just in complete control.
St. Louis in possession. Over to Dixon. Dixon trying to find the middleman, but it gets cut away by Columbia, but not before it goes right back to the feet of Atletico. Into the middle for Lombardo. Lombardo over to Renz. Renz plays it back to Stanton. Dixon on the ball. Looking for options. He plays it to Nurnberger on the right. Back to Lombardo. Trying to 1-2 with Nurnberger. Now here comes Columbia on the attack. Jacob Moore with options. Moore plays it wide left for Gonzalez. And Gonzalez loses it at his feet out of bounds for a throw-in. And we might get a card. Oh, yeah. Card for that tackle by Saralia. Got a little bit too physical. And referee did call advantage and did remember to come back and book Saralia.
Yeah, Saralia thought he got away with that one. He was walking away from the referee hoping that he didn't get carded, but he eventually did.
Ball played into the middle, St. Louis, but a foul called on Lombardo as he got a little bit too physical with McCrary. Columbia trying to go quick. McCrary struggling to get up. He will get up. Limping, and he looks to be kind of hurt, but it looks like he's going to continue. Gonzalez on the ball, looking for the run of Appia. Appia might be on. He is onside, but the ball trickles out of bounds as Appia could not get his feet to it for a goal kick.
Goal
And I
kick
like what Chris Miller has done moving to this 3-5-2, because now Appia can actually play into that space. That 4-1-4-1 only allowed, the striker to have that space. But now since two players in Soralia and Appia are up there, it makes it a lot easier for both to create runs.
Rams gets the ball turned over into the middle. Soralia was on it, but it's headed away by Jack Ridley,
Corner kick,
who
Columbia.
must have just come on. Or my mistake, it was Guerrero, 16 instead of 15. Corner kick, third corner of the half for Columbia.
It'll be Gonzalez to
Miguel
take this
Gonzalez will take it, the lefty, looking to swing it in to that 6-yard box with a lot of navy blue shirts. This is a good one at the back post, won by a blue, still in the air. Multiple players jumping up for it, and finally cleared away by Atletico. Miller will go all the way back to, actually, he's going to go all the way back to Toby Hughes.
And I'm just looking for Travis Smith to get his big head on one of those.
He was there. He got up there. He was one of the ones to get a head on it. Good ball in. Gets taken away. Soralia on it. Soralia with numbers. Chip into the middle for Morpurgo. Morpurgo, good touch. And the ball's going to trickle out for another corner. Fourth corner of the half. We're not even 10 minutes in.
Corner kick, Columbia.
Yeah, if you have 4
Sponsored
corners
by
in 8
Huffman
minutes,
Insurance.
you're obviously doing something right on the offensive end, and Chris Miller has got to be excited. Jacob Moore to take this one from the corner.
Looks like they're going to go with the actual corner. Moore looking for his option. Has plenty of them in the box.
Just drop it there in the mixer.
Moore swings it. It's not the best corner at the top of the box. Ball played into the middle. It's Morpurgo. Morpurgo on it. He goes left. And what a play by Nurnberger to completely shut out the star left winger for the Blues. All the way back to Sammy Gonzalez, or Miguel Gonzalez. Gonzalez with options. Long ball played into the middle. Trying to find Soralia. But it's chested away and cleared away up a mile in the air. Don't know where it's going to come down. Almost hits us in the press box, but it goes out of bounds. Gonzalez throw in quickly to Moore. Moore back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez with space. Back to Moore, and it goes out of bounds. Moore could not get that pass as it was a little bit errant from Gonzalez.
And Columbia is just rapid firing shots into the box, crosses, I should say, into the box. At some point or another, Appia or Soralia is going to get their head on one of these. St. Louis has got to do something about this urgently.
Ball played forward. Miller will win it. Nice tackle from Miller. Gonzalez over to Moore. Columbia have numbers. Moore running at full speed on the left. Now shielding away from Nurnberger. He gets tripped up, and it'll be last touch by Nurnberger. Nurnberger playing some really, really crucial defense here in this second half. 10 minutes. We are 10 minutes into this second half, and we've had another really action-packed half. Gonzalez over to Moore. Gets stripped away. It's going to stay with... No, I lied. Sorry, we'll go to St. Louis. Referee was just telling Nurnberger to back up a little bit. And he's just going to go forward again because no one listens to the referee. Ball headed out of bounds again for another Columbia throw. Morpurgo on the ball. Switches it over to Smith. Smith over to Anchieta. Anchieta still on the ball. Looking for options in the middle. Finds Gonzalez. Gonzalez gets past one. Gonzalez in a pretty dangerous spot. Turns right. Trying for a Travella shot. Gets deflected over into that left corner. Stays in play and cleared away by Atletico.
Yeah, I was surprised. Gonzalez tried to opt for that outside of the foot shot from outside of the box. I don't know how that one would have turned out.
You don't see many. That's a very Portuguese type thing. Miller with a shot from about 40 yards out, trying to replicate what Karalzak did earlier on, but this one was way wide of the target.
Yeah, he's getting a
Goal
little
kick, St. Louis.
shot happy here, trying to go from 40 yards out. It was one situation where Karalzak was at around midfield and Toby Hughes was out of his box.
Yeah.
But there's another thing when De Silva was right outside of the goal.
Oh, this ball over the head of Miller. Pearson on it. Pearson trying to get past one, and Miller just easily gets back. Completely overwhelmed Pearson. Smith clears away, but it's headed down. Ooh, that could have been. I mean, it looked like he got a little bit to the head, but no call from the ref. In the corner now, St. Louis on the ball, and it gets taken away by Morpurgo. Morpurgo now trying to defend the ball away, clears it into the middle, and finally cleared away fully by Miguel Gonzalez into the St. Louis half. Goes out of bounds. Played quickly, but Gonzalez is the first one to it. McCray was the closest one, cannot get to it. Jacob Moore chasing it down. What a tackle. Clean tackle by Moore. Here come the Blues on the counter. Moore with numbers. Moore gets tripped up.
Wow.
No foul.
No foul there.
McCrary over on the right.
And Moore is screaming
Ball
at the center
into the
official.
middle, and it gets trapped up by De Silva.
And I'm surprised that wasn't a card because he just got toppled at the top of that box.
He did. I definitely would have expected a foul at the top of the box, or at least advantage played, but nothing from the referee. Drop kick taken over to the middle of the field. Lands at the feet
Great
of Pearson.
touch.
What a touch by Pearson. I mean, that's like one of those practice touches that you want to see whenever you toss the ball up as high as you can. Rand's on the ball, over back to Pearson. Pearson with numbers if he wants to use them. Plays it back. Over to Lavelle, I believe.
Now to Pearson.
Pearson on the ball, gets stripped. Soralia with a chance to counter. Plays it back. Here come the Blues. Reese Gilmore. Or sorry, that's Morpurgo. Morpurgo trying to find a run of Soralia. Gets cut away by Dixon. Dixon to Pearson. Over to Garreau. Now in the middle with Renz. Renz back to Stanton.
Football was real.
Over to Lavelle. Lavelle with options. It goes out of bounds
Oh, yeah.
for a Columbia throw.
And as you can see, Columbia has had the majority of the chances here in this second half. They just haven't come to fruition.
Ooh, that surely is a foul. Yep.
And that's definitely
Renz-
going to be a foul at the midfield line.
Renz definitely got a little bit too aggressive there with the other captain, Jacob Moore. Moore takes it quickly.
It seems like Jacob Moore is a part of every single foul. He seems to be going down every single time here.
Miller with plenty of space, trying to play a through ball into Soralia. Gets cut away by Dixon yet again. Over on the left, it's Carter Heavey. Here's Renz. Renz in the middle, guarded by 4 AFC defenders. Nice defense there by Columbia. Can they attack here? Jacob Moore. Shooting opportunity for Moore. Moore will line up the shot, blocked by Dixon.
If he could have just gotten that shot off a little bit faster, he probably could have gotten it up, but a little too far of a touch there.
Switch over to Moore. Gets cut away. Here comes St. Louis on the counter. That is Rondria Solo. Back into the middle with Garreau. Garreau over to Renz. Renz on the ball with plenty of space. Plays the ball all the way out on the left. Atletico having a chance to attack there, but it goes out of bounds for a goal kick. I believe that was Carter Heavey last to touch it.
And this has been a lot more of an up and down second half than we saw in that first half. That first half, we just saw a lot of sitting back and letting the other team do what they want to you. But right now, it's just been back and forth, long balls.
Pearson on the ball, playing it back to Renz. Renz gets cut away. Ball played through, trying to find Appia. Appia was on, but goes all the way back to De Silva. That was a nice defensive play by Anchieta to cut it away and start a counterattack. Unfortunately for him, Appia was too far away. Ball played in the middle now. Good tackle there by Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a nice spin
Nice
to
turn
keep
there.
the ball. McCrary Over to Miller. Miller looking for his options. Has plenty of options over on his right. Plays it to Anchieta. Anchieta over. On the right. Now in the middle. McCrary looking for an
Good
option.
switch.
It's Morpurgo. Great switch. Morpurgo shielding the ball. Nice play from Morpurgo over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez across into the box. Gets cut away. St. Louis can counter here. Past one. Past another. And Miller is going to commit the foul. Very smart foul from Miller to stop the play.
Yeah, it's another one of those instances. If you're Gaza Miller, you have to get the foul so you can reset and your team can get back in position, let alone give your midfielders a break. I talked about it earlier in this half. Playing a 3-5-2 does come with its consequences. Your wingers do have to play defense and offense. But Reese Gilmore, you know who he kind of reminds me of? Is a soccer version of Cameron Ward. He's just so cool, calm, and collected.
Gonzalez on the ball. Gets stripped away by that is Lombardo, excuse me. De Silva will clear it. Very nice pass over to Guerreau. Guerreau on the ball. Guerreau looking for options. Plays it over the top to a wide open Rondriana Solo. In the corner, actually, it's Gaza Miller who gets to it first. Gaza Miller seems to get to everything first. Toby Hughes on it after a really dangerous ball.
That was a good ball by Toby Hughes under pressure.
Into the maul for Anchieta. Jacob Moore might have gotten fouled. No
Wow.
call.
This referee does not seem to like Jacob Moore.
Over on the right side for Andriana Solo. Back to Lombardo. Lombardo ball into the box. Might have been another shot attempt, but over the head and over everything, actually. It'll be a goal kick.
Subs coming on for
As agile as Toby Hughes is, he doesn't have the height of a typical goalkeeper, so he always has to look out for those that go above those high arcing shots because those can always go over the top of your head. A couple substitutions here for St. Louis in the 65th minute.
65th minute now. St. Louis up 2-0 thanks to a couple goals. One from Isaac Pearson in the 23rd minute and Jacob Koralzak in the 39th minute.
And Oliver Doyle will fill in that role on that left wing for St. Louis.
Morpurgo on the ball after a good switch from Smith. Plays it back to Miller. Has a couple options on the left. Ball played in, trying to find Gonzalez, but the ball is just way too far out from Miguel Gonzalez for a goal kick. De Silva lining it up. Not too sure if he's going to play it deep or if he's going to play it short. Looks like he will play it deep, sending his team up. Booming kick into the middle of the field, won by Gonzalez, but it finds Nurnberger. Nurnberger still on the ball, guarded by Appia. Appia putting some good pressure. Dixon almost gets the ball stripped off of him. Back to Nurnberger. Still with St. Louis. Nice bit of passing, but it finds Gaza Miller.
And that's what that's what happens when you bring so much pressure. It does come at the expense of your energy, but to win the ball back at this point in time has to be a priority for this Columbia team as Travis Smith sends it to the outside, now on to the feet of Saralia.
Saralia trying to play the ball into McCrary. McCrary gets pushed in the back, and it will be a foul in a very, very dangerous position for Columbia.
And it will surely be Jacob Moore to take this one here. I know he's angry about not getting that free kick earlier, and he's going to want to shoot this one at goal. I guarantee you he's going to shoot this one at goal.
Jacob Moore is salivating at how good this position is for him. He would love to score a free kick here to bring to cut the lead in half in the 67th minute.
Julian, this does not feel like a 2-0 game.
It really does not. This game feels like it's 1-1, but it's 2-0. Jacob Moore with a chance to cut it in half. Actually, there's about 5 Columbia players standing over. This might be...
No doubt who's going to take it, though.
This might be a trick play here. I would not be surprised. Jacob Moore standing over it.
Gilmore and Gonzalez are both walking towards the box now. Gonzalez is actually retreating. Yeah, Gaza Miller is standing over it. Jacob Moore is standing. Yep, Gaza Miller is going it. Yep, it's going to be Jacob Moore.
It's actually going to be Saralia. The shots!
Ooh.
Just wide left.
Wow, I did not expect that at all. Saralia off of the left foot. It looked like Jacob Moore was for sure going to take it.
You would expect it to be Jacob Moore. He had a very, very near free kick goal against Etar Belleville a couple games ago.
I don't think that was a bad idea, though.
It was definitely not a bad idea.
Saralia definitely had the power, just not the placement there, going for that bottom corner.
Especially on the right side of the field, you always want to have a left-footed kicker taking a free kick from that area, unless if you have a clear number one free kick taker. But Saralia, who is very capable of scoring free kicks, went for the bottom corner. Actually, a pretty smart play there from Chris Miller and the Blues. Unfortunately, could not work out for them.
Yeah, and De Silva, if you didn't see, De Silva didn't even jump for that. That's how fast that ball came.
Well, it was on the ground.
Well, yeah, it was on the ground, but he didn't even move a muscle. As
over on the right side, believe that is on Chieta. Plays it into the middle for Moore. Moore getting surrounded by three light blue jerseys, and he gets fouled.
It looks like he is cramping a little bit. He's been on the game. He's been in the game for most of this one. I don't think he's missed more than 5 minutes.
I think he's played every single minute. I don't think he's come out.
Yeah, I think that is a possibility, as he's certainly cramping.
Especially with how much he's run. Jacob Moore has been all over the field for Columbia.
Yeah, we're hearing he did come out for 1 point. So... But yeah, he is getting stretched on the field now. A little bit of added time to the end of the game, probably.
There's also going to be a free kick from a pretty dangerous position for the Blues from about 35 yards out. Probably looking at a pass here. I mean, I would say it's too far for anyone to think about it, but I mean, the last time something happened like that, Ronaldo scored a 42-yard free kick, so I'm not going to jinx that.
And, Karelzik, that hasn't been the...
yeah, that too.
Craziest thing that's happened this game. So Jacob Moore will limp off, and standing over is Anchieta.
Yep, Anchieta, and it also looks like Saralia standing over it, I believe.
No, Saralia is actually in the box. Yeah. It's hard to tell who that is. The glare from the press box.
Can't really see a number, but it looks like it's probably more Pergo, actually, if I had to.
A yellow card has actually been awarded to St. Louis, number 3, Zach Stanton, pushing around in the top of the box.
To number 3 for Atletico, Zach Stanton.
Smell it? No.
Scoot again. Huh? Not really.
Free kick for Columbia from about 40 yards out. Anchieta and Reese Gilmore is on it. Reese Gilmore and Anchieta on it. A lot of players in the box. It will be Anchieta to take. Anchieta takes it to go one at the front post. Gets cleared away. St. Louis can counter here.
It's a 3v1 now, but
ball played forward. Not the best ball. Cleared away. Columbia in possession now. Gonzalez on it. He plays it back to Miller. Miller with options, has Morpurgo on his left. He chooses to take him. Morpurgo can take his defender, plays it back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez with options. He switches it over to Anchieta. Over on the right side. Plenty of space. Back to Anchieta. Anchieta looking for a cross into the box. Wide open McCrary. The shot just over the crossbar. McCrary was in the perfect position, and the header was just high.
What a ball in from Reese Gilmore.
St. Louis, sponsored by
that
Tech.
Came right onto the head. Oh, I actually believe it was Anchieta.
Yes,
Sorry about that, guys.
Reese Gilmore's sort of playing a wingback role now. Anchieta sort of dropped back. Ball played forward. Wide open is Karelzik looking for his brace. But Toby Hughes gets out to clear it away. Gonzalez on it. Ball played. Jacob Moore was the closest one to it. He recovers. Miller was on it. He gets stripped away. Jacob Moore all the way back from the midfield into around the 6-yard box, clears it away.
And that is just exceptional by Jacob Moore. He goes from shooting right outside the box, coming all the way back and playing defense. That is exactly what you want from your captain and your center midfielder.
A true box-to-box midfielder. This one's going to go out of bounds for a goal kick.
And that's exactly why he was cramping a couple moments ago, because of the amount of energy that he's had to expunge
Get that
throughout
man
the
some water.
second half.
Get that man some water.
As we reach the 73rd minute here in Colombia, Colombia's going to have to do something quickly. Being down by 2, obviously we mentioned, does not feel like a 2-0 game, but in the end, it is the score. As Jacob Moore receives that one in the midfield, tries to turn.
That's surely no foul called. Shooting opportunity blocked by Travis Smith. Now Morpurgo can come on the counter. He has Apia. Morpurgo cuts inside. Open to Gonzalez. Gonzalez open. Has numbers. Over to Saralia. Saralia with numbers. Saralia, the shot gets blocked. Now here comes St. Louis with Oliver Doyle. A switch is cut out by Miller. Nice play by Gaza Miller there.
Look at Miller.
Just so calm.
Cool, calm, and collected under pressure. No matter who's on him, how many players, he always finds a way out of it.
Reese Gilmore looking for the cross into the box for Apia. Apia gets cut away, and the ball goes all the way back to Smith. Smith over to Anchieta. Anchieta plays it into Gonzalez. Gonzalez with numbers. This one gets flicked out to Morpurgo. Morpurgo can get past his defender. Couple step overs. Cross into the box. Gets cut away. Still in play, but it will end up going out of bounds for a corner.
And we've seen them be dangerous on corners. This is the 5th one. 4 coming in that first 8 minutes.
Corner kick.
And now the 5th coming in the 75th now. So let's see if they can do something here. Gonzalez running in to come short.
They're going to go short to Gonzalez. Cross into the box. It's a good one. Gets parried away. You need to shoot it here. It's wide open net. Saralia cannot get the shot off. More on it. He gets fouled. No foul. Everyone is complaining. Here comes St. Louis on the counter. Ball played through. It gets cut away by Miller.
And who else but Gaza Miller to take control of the ball. He's going to go up and attack now from that center back position.
He gets stripped, but all the way to Saralia. Saralia to Morpurgo, back to Saralia. Saralia, the shot gets blocked and cleared away. Wow, what a game. What a game we've had so far. 75 minutes in. Action-packed. Couple of subs for AFC Colombia. Looks like that is Lobo coming in. Lobo and Lamidi, Lobo and Lamidi.
Yeah, Lobo gave that spark off the bench in the first half, creating some of those chances for Apia. Let's see if he can do that again here. Lamidi probably coming to play that right back position.
Not Lobo, Lindo Zwane coming into the game.
Yeah, Zwane was another one of those ones that came in. He's like an energizer bunny that can come in and light up the game. He's probably going to go to that winger position. Lamidi's probably going to go to that right wing back position that can also play in that attacking role.
Throw in taken to Gonzalez. Gonzalez guarded by 2. Gonzalez looking to get past. Ball into the box. It's a bouncer over. Shot and shooting opportunity gets blocked. Jacob Moore on it now. Moore passes it to Morpurgo. Morpurgo on the ball. Morpurgo spins. Still on the ball. Passes it to Moore. Moore with space. Moore takes the space. Into Gonzalez. Gets tripped up in the box, but it will be an AFC Colombia throw. Taking it quickly. Over to Anchieta. Anchieta switches it to Travis Smith, but it goes all the way to the other side for Lamidi. That's Reese Gilmore who dropped back in defense. Ball played into the middle for Saralia. In a pretty good position. Saralia with numbers. Saralia trying to find more. Calls for a handball. No call. Anchieta on it. Back to Smith. Smith, long ball. Trying to find more Morpurgo. It's actually a really good ball. A good touch into the box. Still in the box. And it finally gets cleared away. Only to the feet of Gonzalez. Now tapped into the box. Still in the air. finally coming down to the feet of Gonzalez, but he gets stripped out by Atletico. Now here comes Karalzik. Karalzik ball played through, but Smith will be in there, but it will be Toby Hughes to get it. He plays it to Anchieta. Anchieta back to Smith. And AFC will reset.
Now instead of Gaza Miller being that totem pole in the back, it's going to be Travis Smith. So he's going to be the lone defender on most of these attacks in that back line. And even more attacking presence here as they brought in Lindo's Wayne. So Chris Miller trying to throw everything at this St. Louis back line. They've had so many chances in the second half. It does not feel like a 2-0 game.
St. Louis in the corner trying to play it through for Renz. Gets cut away. Here comes Swain. Swain gets stripped. Ball played back in for Doyle. Doyle the shot. Just off wide. Did not get blocked. It will be a goal kick.
Goal kick, Columbia.
For Columbia.
And St. Louis's first shot
Hughes
of the second half coming in the 78th minute.
Hughes took it quickly. Back to Anchieta. Anchieta over to Smith in the middle of the field. Smith plays a long ball to an open Saralia, but Saralia might have been offside. Gets cut away anyway. Renz on it. Ball played, trying to find the overlapping run, but it goes all the way back to Reese Gilmore. Gilmore to Lamidi. Lamidi back to Smith. Back to Anchieta. With numbers on his left, back to Swain. Anchieta trying to find the overlapping run from Morpurgo, but they were not on the same connection. Coach Aycock almost looked like he wanted to throw it in himself.
Chris Miller. Oh, wait, what was that?
Yeah, it was Coach Aycock. Ball played back to Hughes.
Wow.
Appia gets wrapped up and
that was
fouled.
a clear foul. Columbia's going to want to go quick here.
It was Dakota. AFC looking to play quickly. Swain on it.
Giuseppe Giroux not stepping out of the way of Lindo Swain.
Swain taking it quickly back to Smith. Over to Lamidi. Lamidi trying to find Gonzalez. Very nice ball played into Gonzalez. And it's going to have to be cleared away by Stanton. Substitutions for AFC. Looks like Dervizovic.
Might be Jacob Moore coming back in.
It's not Jacob Moore. Dervizovic and Parker Murphy.
Second time we've seen Murphy today. He came in at the end of that first half, but fresh legs for the most part for Chris Miller
Sponsored by 988.
as he continues to try and get Columbia on the board here in the 80th minute.
It'll be a long throw in, sort of working like a corner from Jacob Murphy. Long throw in. Into the box. It gets claimed by Pereira da Silva, and he will slow things down. We have reached the 81st minute, 9 minutes to play here in an action-packed game. St. Louis leads 2-0. Ball played over to the left side. Lamidi wins it. Anchieta on it. Back to, it's actually Rhys Gilmore. Gilmore plays it to Moore. Moore back to Gilmore. And they will reset with Smith. Back to Smith. Swain was his counterpart there on that last pass. Ball played, deflected, still in the feet of Columbia. Moore into the box. Lamidi on it. Lamidi switches it over to Appia. Appia back to Dervizovic. We have fireworks going on. Over on the left side with Appia. Appia, couple step over, gets by his man and goes out of bounds for a corner.
Their sixth of the half. Let's see if they can get one in the 82nd minute here.
82nd minute now. Colombia needs a goal to have a chance here with about at least 8 minutes to play. We're probably going to have about 3 to 4 minutes of added time.
And regardless of the score, I am very happy with Chris Miller's decision to go to the 3-5-2 as this one goes
Ball
back
played,
post.
back post, very good corner. Still in the mix, shot, blocked again. Colombia going quickly.
29 for 10.
Corner kick, Colombia.
It'll be Appia, or sorry, not Appia. Lindo Swain looks like it's going to be the one to take it. Swain with people at the back post. That's a good corner at the back post. And it's headed away by Atletico. Only to the feet of Dervizovic. Dervizovic get past one. And ball still being played. It goes out of bounds for a goal kick? Yes,
Yeah, it
goal
will be a
kick.
goal
And they're
kick.
going to caution Dervizovic because he kicked the ball back into a St. Louis player.
Caution issued to Colombia, number 11, Ilan Dervizovic.
And De Silva's going to take as much time as possible. Couple subs. Jacob Moore coming
on
off.
for Colombia, number 21, Michael Hansen.
Hansen,
Also coming
Lobo,
on at
and
number
Lint
6,
coming on for AFC
G.
Colombia.
Lobo, and number 29, Anthony Lint.
Jacob Moore taking a breather here in the 84th.
Lint, Lobo, and Hansen coming on. Some fresh legs in the 84th minute now to try and give a spark to this Colombia team. It's not like they've needed a spark, but they just need to finish.
Dervizovic loses the ball, but only to the feet of Anchieta. Anchieta gets past two and plays it back to Smith. Being pressured by Lombardo. Back to Smith. Smith to Gilmore. Gilmore with options that he can pass to. Ball played over to Murphy, but it's actually taken by Lobo. Lobo with options in the middle. Plays it to Lamidi. Lamidi over to Murphy. And
Wow.
Murphy was just
That's
offside.
unfortunate, 'cause
Very
that-
unlucky because Lobo was wide open in the box.
Yeah, Lobo, as exactly what I was going to say. Lobo wide open in the box. That 1-2 connection on that outside. And Hansen was just offside. Very unfortunate. Oh,
De Silva will take his sweet time kicking this one as we are in the 85th minute. He took it with his left foot that time. And he has taken the other ones with his right. He's multi-footed. Over on the left side. Believe that looked like Lavelle. Ball taken off of him.
it's
Ball
just going to be
flicked
offside
on.
regardless if Lobo gets to it. But
Don't think they would have called offside technically since it was last hit off of an Atletico defender. Ball played through to Renz. Not Renz. That is Copatelli. Now back into the mix for Colombia. Over to Zwain. Zwain has options. Plays it to Lamidi. Lamidi looking for a switch.
that's a good switch
Switches
right
it
there.
over to Hansen. Very nice ball, but Hansen could not get the right touch. Ball is cleared away, only to Anchieta. Over to Dervizovic. He almost loses the ball. He does lose the ball in the end. And cleared away, finally, by Lombardo. He goes down in a heap. Might have been stepped on, but he will get back up limping.
Yeah, it's either that or he's cramping.
Ball played into the middle. It's a good ball, and De Silva comes out to claim. And De Silva not happy with how Gilmore sort of stepped into him.
And it looks like Lombardo will be down on the ground. He tried to play through it there, but
Say it again.
when you have a cramp, sometimes it just doesn't go away when running on it. So they're over there stretching him out. They surely will add some extra time here. After the 90 minutes is up, we're approaching the 87th minute now. And a half totally dominated by AFC Colombia. They just can't seem to find the back of the net. Multiple shots on goal.
And you got to give props to Lombardo. Lombardo played an excellent game in that midfield for St. Louis. He will come off
Zach Renz, the captain, will come
Coming back
on.
Yep. Renz was taking a break. I thought he was playing the whole time. Also 13, Andy. Oh, God. Mujazinovic. Excuse me if I butchered that.
For
Butchered that.
Atletico number 13, Andy Mujazinovic.
I think we nailed it.
Yep.
It'll be a drop kick for St. Louis. Won by Columbia. Dervizovic looking for an overlapping run. Won by Lintz in the end. Or sorry, not Lintz, by Hansen in the end. Ball played out wide to the right side with Gilmore. Gilmore looking for options, gets cut away. If it stays in play, St. Louis will be in a perfect position, but a heavy touch, and it's going to go out of bounds. A better touch,
Goal kick, Columbia.
and it's a 3v1 for St. Louis. And you could even say it probably would have been a 3-0 ball game. But luckily for the Blues, it goes out of bounds. 88th minute now here. Columbia trailing by 2. Ball played forward to Parker Murphy, but he will be tracked down by Dixon, and Dixon will let it roll out of bounds for another St. Louis goal kick.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Columbia, after this great performance in the second half, possession-wise, they just never seemed to finish one off.
No, I thought you were saying
And
that we get.
it looks like they might drop this one unless something miraculous happens, approaching the 89th minute with limited stoppage time.
Ball went over the head of multiple St. Louis and Columbia players. Goes out of bounds for a Columbia throw, taken back to Smith. Smith will play it out to Anchieta. Back to Smith. Looking for a long ball in. Finds Zwane. Zwane knocks it over to Lamidi. Lamidi running into the middle now, trying to find the attacker, Michael Hansen. Lobo on the ball, pass forward. It goes out of bounds. Lobo with an errant pass, and it'll be a athletic throw-in. We are just about to reach the 90th minute. We're going to see how many minutes of added time we have. Should be 3 to 4 if I had to assume. Good tackle there from Dervizovic. Ball played out wide left. 4 minutes of additional time. It has to be now for Como. This one's going to go out of bounds for a AFC throw.
4 minutes.
Ball played quickly into Murphy. Murphy. This one's going to go out of bounds for a goal kick as Murphy was trying to knock it off the nearest Atletico defender, but could not get it off of him. And Da Silva could take his sweet time here on this goal kick, allowing his outfield players to get all the way up the pitch. Ball played over to the right side. Won by Columbia. This one stays in play with Murphy. Murphy trying to get past one as Zwane will come over to knock it out of bounds for another throw. Throw in taken down that right flank with Koralzak. Koralzak falls. Still in possession for St. Louis. Ball knocked forward. In possession with Atletico. It's Doyle. Doyle in the corner. Now into the box. Ball played in. Gets past everyone, and Lamidi will claim. 3 minutes to play. Gotta go now if you're Columbia. Ball played forward. It's intercepted. And St. Louis, nice 1-2 over in that left corner. They can just waste time here. And it's gonna trickle out of bounds for another Atletico throw.
Go like you've never gone before.
2.5 minutes to play here from J. Marvin Owens Stadium on the campus of Columbia College. Ball in the corner, goes out of bounds for a goal kick. Columbia's going to go quick. They have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to try to get 2 goals here. The rain fell earlier 2-0. And the Blues are looking to avoid the same result. Ball played forward. Ball played inside, gets intercepted by St. Louis. Still in play, it actually ends up going out of bounds. Last touch by Hansen. Back to Dixon now. Dixon over into the middle of the field with Stanton. Stanton to Nurnberger. Back to Stanton. This one's going to get played out of bounds for a Columbia throw. A minute and a half to play now. Lamidi in the corner. Trying to cross it into the middle for Murphy, but it's going to get cut out. Nurnberger holding it in the corner, going to go out of bounds for a Columbia throw. They're going to take it quickly to Lint. Lint's still on it, gets cut away. Atletico can counter here with numbers. They will swing it over to the left side for Mujazinovic in that left corner. He will play it short, trying to waste time. A nice piece of defending by Smith. 45 seconds to play. Dervizovic on the ball. Over to Anchieta.
And remember, the standings are determined by goal differential, so any goal here could be impactful for AFC Columbia, as that one is going to be skied over to Lobo.
Lobo's onside. Has Lamidi. Lobo gets past one, and a foul called. In a pretty dangerous position. It's going to be the last kick of the game. So, nonetheless, St. Louis will come out with the 3 points. But Columbia looking to salvage a goal here in the last minute of the game. Trying to do what the Rain had the perfect chance to do.
Lindo Swain is the one standing over it. Parker Murphy at the top of the box. The rest of Columbia standing in.
Dervizovic also at the top of the box. You know, actually a really good position for a shot if Zwain does want to swing it to him. Here's the free kick from Zwain. It's a good one. Gets knocked away. And that will do it. We have a final here from Columbia, Missouri. It's Club Atletico St. Louis coming out on top of the AFC Columbia Blues 2-0. 2 goals, one from Isaac Pearson in the 23rd minute, and the other from Jacob Koralzek in the 39th minute on a 45-yard bomb that barely got over the head of Toby Hughes. Logan, what are your thoughts on this game as it goes final?
If this was your first AFC Columbia game, then this might be the best one that you could have seen, because on both sides of the ball, the first half St. Louis dominated, the second half Columbia dominated. You could make the argument that Columbia actually held possession for more of the game and actually had more chances on goal, but they just weren't fruitful enough when they did have the chances, and St. Louis was taking chances outside of the box, 40 yards away. Julian, what do you think they did today to win this game?
St. Louis came out of the box running. They were letting Columbia play their game, and they fell for the trap. Columbia fell for the trap that St. Louis set. They scored an early goal in the corner. You could very easily tell that St. Louis had a very clear advantage on set pieces after their first 2 set pieces, especially after scoring on their second corner. Jacob Koralsek then just sort of put the icing on the cake with that 45-yard screamer in the 39th minute, really demoralizing a lot of the Columbia players, and that was pretty much it. Columbia played excellent in that second half. They played with a lot of aggression and a lot of physicality and a lot of offensive prowess, and that's exactly what you need to look forward to if you're Coach Chris Miller and the rest of this AFC staff. For my partner, Logan Parsons, I've been Julian Munoz. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another wonderful game here from Marvin Owens Stadium. So long, everyone.